Going back on the record. I just want to apologize everybody for the complication that we had here. I'm sorry for the delay. We were talking about ordinance.
Resolution
1910. This is Seeger. On some of these overall amounts that we have here, increase-wise, we have anything from negative 1.9% all the way up to 46%. Is that possible? Yeah.
Well, the why was that there were 2 dam projects, but I don't recall having any report in the last few months or longer that says here that.
That's when you get the report at the budget. I have to approve these to start getting the contracts so we can start working. And we have some money that we can spend on capital and getting plans done for the dam. We can't move forward with doing the dam project. Well, we already might have the dam project approved already. Do we have the dam project approved?
Yeah, I'm sure we have a lot of dam projects.
I don't mean it that way. It's actually the dam that with the wall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
I could speak a little bit about the dam projects. We have, as we all are aware, we have Lake Hudsonia Dam Removal Project on the horizon, which we are, I believe my predecessor Jim Lutz has informed the public of. And we also have on the horizon Lake Ames reconstruction. We also have in our inventory Mount Hope Dam, Mount Hope Pond, as well as Egbert's Lake. So over the years, we've put away money to restore these dams to be in compliance with the state regulations. Most recently is the, that we will see go to construction, and based on the approvals, is the Lake Hudsonia Dam. And with that is to complete the design of the construction drawings, as well as construction oversight of the, not only the removal of the dam, but also the wetlands restorations. And I believe, and then Lake Ames reconstruction activities.
That's the breaching of the dam over there, and that's part of the project itself for Hudsonia?
The dam breach?
The breaching of the dam. Basically removing the dam?
Yes, removing the dam, yes.
And those projects have already been approved, but now we're moving forward with them. And these are the people doing it because that's their experts in the dam. Sorry, it's not a bad word.
Further detail on the projected cost would be supplied at the time of the budgeting.
Sorry.
But if, you know.
And this is the professional doing that work. And
So Boswell Engineering, Burgess Associates,
Burgess is...
and Hinckley. I mean, I'm looking at all these engineers that are here of all these numbers that are going up. Which ones are identified for the projects for the dams?
I would, Princeton Hydro and Haley and Aldred.
I'm sorry, what was the other one? Haley and Aldred?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were lower last year because we didn't have those projects going forward. Now that those projects are going forward, we have to estimate what the costs are going to be. It doesn't mean you're spending it.
We also, if I may, we also look to Princeton Hydro for potential grant opportunities. So we also retain them for green infrastructure. We'd like to look to them for green infrastructure grant opportunities. In the past, we've worked with White Meadow Lake and actually used them to help us design and receive grant funding for a sediment trap installed on Beach 2, Beach 3.
That was all Princeton Hydro you just described?
We utilized them for the grant opportunity.
Then the Boswell Engineering, Burgess Associates.
Burgess Association is our planner that's on staff here. It's him plus his engineering and his project management of projects. Like we have a project out there for Robin Street. Did they do some of that? Oversight? there's already projects out there we're using them for. Last year, we didn't get as many projects done, but this year, we are planning on doing them.
You know, is there a way we can, there's none of this information was provided at all.
Because it's not, it will be in the budget, but you're not spending this money. This is for me to hire them at an hourly rate that the mayor approved. These are our professionals we're using for these projects.
But wouldn't it be good for the council to know the actual amount, the rates, and before we even vote on it, to have it in there? Because now we're in contract with these people for a year.
Microphone.
Or you can give them a 60-day notice, and you're out of that
But
contract.
it doesn't say that, though.
When I give them the contracts, it does, and you guys have seen enough of our contract that that's in all our contracts.
Can I ask a question?
At least the ones the administration does.
But we're not in contract to pay this amount.
No, not at all.
Okay.
This is an estimate.
No, I understand that.
But you're
So-
still in contract, though.
No, we're contracting, this amount doesn't go in there.
The
You're
issue,
still in
the,
contract with the professional. Not-
This is doing, I'm going to enter into contract with these people for a certain price per hour,
Correct.
not to exceed what's ever in the budget.
well, not
This
to
has
exceed
nothing
this
to
amount.
do what's in their contract when I give it to them.
If the council says we don't want to do this project that hasn't started, and that project is listed here at 200,000, they get paid nothing. They get paid zero.
Yeah,
Which is last year, why one of
No, I
them,
think
we
it's-
didn't have
what I'm
anything
trying
for.
to do, Mr. Jackson, is just the being in contract with the individuals for the amount. Whether we have it in the budget, when the budget comes, we can spend up to that amount. But you haven't received any information about any of these amounts, have you?
I haven't, but when I get those amounts, if I don't agree with them and I don't approve it, then they're not going to get anything, are they?
Correct.
Well, they will, there are
Correct.
5 others here who say they should.
Yeah, it doesn't-
And the issue here, Council President, if I may address Councilmember Jackson, is that if you set these very high thresholds, they're thresholds for the year, you may never see this again. And so what we do with the budget typically.
That's not,
Excuse-
no, you're still
if we
seeing
don't-
the projects. That's not true.
We haven't seen any list of projects that corresponds to these vendors yet, right?
No, they're in some of them already been budgeted, some of them have already been approved.
Right, but we don't, with this resolution, we
Which
don't
is-
have, so is it possible that some of this information might be somewhere if we go back and dig through previous years' capital budgets? I'm sure that's likely the case, but there's nothing, but that's not a way for this governing body to make a decision, to have to go run around and chase down documents.
You're not making a decision on what I'm doing here is sending a contract with them, and if you looked at all the previous years, which I know you have, it says in there only an hourly rate that they're hired as an engineer, because you looked at them all last year, Mr. Jedynak.
To not
It does
exceed.
not have this amount in any of their contracts.
If it says to not exceed a certain amount, we have that here.
It does not,
The resolution that we have here says to not exceed that specific amount.
Correct.
If I could just finish, what we do typically with the budget.
it's subject to the budget.
Would you like me to, would you mind if I just finish my
Sure, go ahead.
sentence? What we do with the budget at the reorg meeting is we adopt a temporary budget, which is 1/4 of what the previous year's budget was.
That's what I think this is about.
In a similar way here, if there's thresholds on projects we're not going to know about until we get more information through the budget process, then we should look at setting these amounts at 1/4, with the understanding that once we've gone through the budget process, we can adopt a resolution to closer match what we expect the not to not exceed number to actually be.
So today, like this weekend, we had a water main break, okay? We had to hire somebody that's a professional or do something like that. So you want me to stop it and say, you can't have water, White Meadow Lake, because I don't have enough money, because I can't pay this professional?
So
That's what you're doing.
How did you do it this week? Because we're here today without that in place. How did you do it?
We haven't done it yet.
But you have the
You
work.
brought somebody on to
Schulte's
work.
in already.
We brought Schulte's in as an emergency.
Okay.
And
You
we
have a-
do have money for them, but they're a vendor, so it depends on the price. They're not a professional.
Okay.
There's a difference between that, but if I needed a professional to go out and investigate that, I would not have the money. You would be stopping
When you
government.
say you don't have the money, you told us here, we're not spending any money. You said this is just a...
I
not-
wouldn't have the contract. If I had a project that I already awarded, which you approve every bid that we go out, so you know the projects when they go out. I can't tell you if we're going to do this project until you pass the budget, but I need to enter contracts with them so I can come up with an hourly rate. That's what this is doing. The contract only has an hourly rate that I'd be awarding them, but does not have this figure. So they don't get this in their contract. They only get an hourly rate.
But we have a direction from the council to the administration on what the do not exceed amount is for the year based on this. That's what this resolution does.
Correct.
Right? Why wouldn't we simply set that at a quarter of the amount, let us go through the budget process, and then come back and set it
Because you
closer
would
to
be, because some of these projects already have money approved, and we can move forward because they're already in the capital that you have approved prior. So you're stopping the project
So
if I have to wait. Because I don't have to wait for the budget for those projects because they've approved.
And in previous years, the way that was communicated, so if we look at R1821, which was included in the packet that all the council members received from the clerk's office, R1821, Mrs. Seeger, includes capital account numbers and account numbers on it. This has no account numbers, so we have no way to know which projects have actually been funded through capital in one place or another, because we don't have a report, we don't have a budget, and we don't have any account numbers on this. We have very little information here, and we're being asked to vote on this.
Differently from last year to this year?
It's the same as last year, except I added more vendors that we're going to be using this year. And if you look at 2017, the year before this, before Mr. Brewer came in, it had 20, the same amount of people.
It's missing the
So it's just
numbers.
last year was the only difference in the, how we did it.
Council
Because
President-
Mr. Brewer didn't put all of these on there, and we missed some, and then I had to go back and ask you to add the one we missed, plus increase the amounts. And that's the way, you know what, you can vote however you want, but this is not spending money.
Can I just clarify something?
Sure.
These monies.
The monies, I had it pressed down, not hard enough, sorry. The monies that you're talking about, not to exceed. But when you do the contract, you prepare, I'm quite sure, a requisition and a voucher for the contract.
Not for the whole contract. Right
No,
now,
for whatever portion of the contract is going to be executed.
right. This is kind of setting if you go back to the history of Rockaway Township for years, this has always been on here. We used to have one under 17.5, one over 17.5, and with no amounts. They've only required the amounts since 2017. This is just allowing you to hire the professionals the mayor has put forth to work on our projects. And this is allowing me to enter a contract with them that says, here's the hourly rate we all agreed on, and the mayor agreed on, and that's it. The contract's just saying, I'm hiring you as an engineer if you're needed at, say, $100 an hour.
And then they bill off that.
Then we do purchase orders, or we go out to
For what they
bid.
do. They
Yes.
don't get the whole amount.
No.
I'm just clarifying it for
Yes,
people that don't.
no.
I
So
understand.
everyone has got a purchase order to go with it, and everyone has a project to go with it. And if it's over a certain amount, we go out to bid, and then you approve the bid or not.
So again, Mrs. Seeger, there are no account numbers on this resolution.
What does the CFO certification say?
So you said this was the
Connected
same as
to that.
last year, and yet last year had account numbers on it, and this year we have no account numbers. Is that correct?
Last year, you never had account numbers.
We didn't have any account numbers on it.
No.
Resolution R1821.
Oh, okay, we did have some, sorry.
How many of them have account numbers?
They all do now.
You mean R1821 from last year all have account numbers?
This is 1821.
And they
Last-
all have account numbers, is that correct?
Correct.
And R1910, which we have this year, has how many account numbers on it?
None, because the certification has that.
So, and we don't have the certification.
It is in your packet, it's right here. It's from the CFO. It says, I have retained various professional services with the cost anticipated to exceed 17.5. 2000 operating budget upon adoption will be from various capital accounts, trust funds, and balance sheet revenues. So reserves. So it does tell you what accounts it will be paid.
I don't have
Not
that
specifically, but that's in everyone's packet.
So we'll get that information.
Council President, may I just
Sure.
I'm just astounded by the amount. And I'm going to just say this so that the public can hear. The actual in 2018 was $1,226,716.50. The requested in R19 this year is $2,575,000. It's more than doubled. More than doubled. That's why we're asking these questions. I just want you to know that. Not to make any trouble, but to get some answers, as we've been advised many times, get the answers to the questions for the money. So it's more than doubled.
And there's more names than last year on this.
But that's a lot more money.
And it's a lot more names.
It's not just a little bit.
Well, you told me it was only one name that was different you added on.
No, there's a lot more names. I think last year's only had 10 or 12.
Missing.
Last year had 11 names. We have 20 names this year. So we have more professionals on here.
And what is the threshold of exceeding that you have to pass such a resolution for? What's the dollar amount?
What are you talking about?
You told us earlier that you're required by law to pass a resolution, right? For professional services.
This resolution is doing.
Understood. And if the professional service, you're only spending $1 with them, is there a dollar threshold over?
The threshold with the QPA is $40,000.
So any professional service where the township foresees that it will need to spend $40,000 or more, a resolution like this needs to be prepared.
Correct, but that's why this is here.
And what happens if that doesn't happen?
What doesn't happen?
If such a resolution is not prepared and a contract is not prepared?
You mean if you don't approve this resolution?
If we don't have this resolution, what happens? So for instance, Dewberry wasn't on R1821 last year.
Correct.
So what happened with Dewberry? Did we work with them since January?
Yes, that's why you had to update it last year at the end of the year.
So in December, so you're able to go the entire year before we pass this?
No, it was before I noticed that it went over.
So what was the consequence?
It went over earlier. The consequences was I had to pass the resolution to increase the amount.
So there was no legal or other liability as a result of not passing that?
Yes, I couldn't pay him his bill until you passed that.
Okay. So by the same token, right, there's dependency here on budget, there's information the council doesn't have. And when you look at the list of professional services that are there, I defy anybody to list 5 projects that they know of that are represented by that. I know I can't name them.
Well, some of these aren't projects. Like the accountants on here, the attorneys are on here. Dewberry, I can name them all, what they do. Dewberry is our in-house planner, plus our engineer. Gates is our engineer. And we have the senior center roof. We have some projects that we got grants for that these people are hired for. And right now, I can't go out to bid on the senior roof until I have an amount that I'm going to be paying it. This is an agreement. See, before you never put amounts on here until 2017 if you go back. So normally these would be passed as you were hiring these professionals, and that you're going to hire them at an amount, you're going to give them a contract. And that's all you saw. Now you're seeing these numbers, and you never saw them before 2017.
So again,
so you're just hiring these professionals.
Why not set the thresholds at a quarter like we do with the regular budget for those that we're going to need?
You're only okay.
Do you guys want to vote? I mean, it's getting late.
No, you know what, Mr. Mayor, I agree with you. What's on there? You know what it is that maybe perhaps there's clarity issues between the two of what's being answered moving forward. I mean, the numbers are staggering. I mean, you have to admit that they are for the differences that are there.
But they're not, doesn't mean that we're going to spend it.
And it doesn't mean that you're not going to spend it either, though.
Correct.
Right. Either way, you could spend it or you're not going to spend it.
Well,
and some of these items are capital expenditures and some are operating expenses, which are tied to the budget.
As far as numbers go. I'm sorry, Mr.
Once you receive the budget, you can take certain items, line items, reconnoiter and readjust. That's up to the entire
council. Or we can have a lower number that's here and then we can always add to it at another time.
Correct.
Right?
Well,
so rather than give a high number to try to achieve, if there is money that's in the budget, we would have a low number in there, see the projects, make a better projection, and then add as necessary as we've done in the...
A projection as far as what?
I'm going to suggest
spending.
that we leave this as is, and you guys take a vote. I'm just going to make a decision right now on this. I stand by Ms. Seeger. I stand by the professionals here that they're going to spend our money judiciously, and that
you don't have any vote. Yeah, I know.
You guys are going to manage and have oversight on the budget to see that and not sign off on projects that you feel, before this money is spent, it goes to the council. So I have confidence in you guys that you're going to go moving forward, that you're going to pay attention to each project and be frugal, we'll say, and not spend frivolously.
I just don't see how we can pay attention to each project when I really have no idea how many projects are represented by that sheet of paper
Is
in
it
front of
possible,
us.
Mrs. Seeger, we can get like a list of the projects, what's going on to associate with these limits that are here to kind of get an idea?
You know what? I can go through appraisal systems. Mark uses them. Last year, we paid 250.
Seeger,
I can tell you what they are
Can I
now.
just ask you another question?
Sure.
Could you could have provided the information on there so we had it tangible to read and look at it?
This is something that was done every year at the reorg meeting. Mr. Jedynak has passed them before. I wasn't anticipating. And if he had sent me those questions, I would have certainly answered him. He's had this since last week.
You know, whether
You mean
you've
since
known in the
Friday.
past that he asked these questions, you could have provided it too on your own. But I understand.
And I've made that point
Could have
before.
answered.
But we have.
You should have anticipated these questions
Excuse
by
me,
now.
Mr. Council President, Mr. Jedynak. But we're talking about $2.5 million. Okay, we're talking about.
If you were spending it, yes.
I understand that, but you know, again,
If you were
you're throwing this at us without any backup information. You want to give us the information right now over the microphone for us to make that executive decision to go forward on this. If we were to table this and then get all the backup data for the February 12th, would that be possible?
Well, then you won't have any projects because I can't hire any of the professionals.
But you said that before you.
I need to have them sign a contract for a rate that the mayor and everybody has worked out that they're going to get paid this year. Say an attorney's going to get $165 an hour. I need to give them a contract to do their work.
But with
So you want to
Dewberry,
force us to sign a contract without having.
You're not forcing you to sign a contract. You're not signing the contract.
You're forcing us to approve this amount.
No, I'm not. I'm asking you to enter the contract for these professional services. And I'm not putting that amount in their contract. I will send you all their contracts.
there's a clear do not exceed amount on there.
Yeah, I just, I would like to have more information.
This is no way to spend $2.5 million.
You're not spending it, Mr.
But we're
Jedynak.
allowing the administration to spend up to $2.5 million. This is not the
No,
way.
I understand. It's on an ordinance resolution in the consent agenda.
And it's great that there are staff who can rattle this off, but why not just simply present it in a document where the council can share that knowledge? That's the job of the council, to be able to understand these things.
Can we move forward?
At a minimum, you can amend it to,
Any of you guys have additional questions over there? Mr. Sackett? Ready to vote?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to amend the amounts.
We have the dollar amounts prepared.
1/4 of what the items currently are.
Mr. Iaciofano, in order to make an amendment, can we do a group amendment on it? Do we have to go over each amendment on the same?
Do one amendment. Just like we did with the schedule.
If you wish to amend any matter that's pending before the council, it requires a motion to state the amendment, second, and a vote. I cannot recommend that you do that with this resolution, but that would be the process you have to follow.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Smith?
I have a question. If we amended it to 1/4 of the amounts that are specified here, would that get you through to budget time?
No, and I couldn't sign, we have Nichibachi and Company, our auditor. He's already given me his contract with the price for the year. Does that mean I can't sign it? I can't sign it. Some of these contracts are yearly contracts. Like Nichibachi and Company, your auditor that you hired gave me a contract for a certain amount of money. A quarter will not cover it. There are certain contracts in here that are tied to an amount, and you have already hired him as an auditor.
But
I'm just
he's
trying
never-
to compromise.
He's never
Would
come to us
half the amount
to say that
cover
he
it?
needed an additional
He's-
$53,000.
his contract, I go by his contract, and he only doesn't do auditing for us.
But I'm looking at it right here, though.
Okay. Do you know if he raised his prices this year? He did.
Well, the problem is we don't have any of those backup documents. That's exactly the issue. We don't have any backup documents on the proposed contracts that you now want us to set rates
How you
for.
want.
Why would we vote on that?
That's up to the council.
Why would we vote when you've told us now that the rates have gone up in the contract that none of us here have seen? So we know there's information.
When you appointed him, did you ask him for his rates for this year?
We know that we have information out there that we don't have.
I know.
Certainly their job to present it to us, but.
That's when
And it wasn't done. No, she didn't.
We don't have it, though.
We didn't get that. We didn't get that information.
You have it. Well, that's what she said.
But they didn't get it to us, and we're being asked to vote on things that we don't have. It's exactly the issue. Are there pay-to-play forms that go with those contracts?
Yes, and Mrs. Clipperton has them all.
Is that the only thing, Mrs. Clipperton? Do you have draft contracts as well? No. You have no contracts?
She has hourly rates and pay-to-play. We do the same thing every year.
So the administration hasn't actually transmitted the information to the clerk for the council for all the backup data?
Received all the information herself. She sent out the letters.
I received the pay-to-play documents. The contracts that you're talking about, no, I do not have that. All I have is pay-to-play documents concerning our professionals.
And you don't have hourly rates for all the professionals listed, do you?
That should all be included in their, usually it's their cover letter with their pay-to-play forms.
Okay, which none of us have.
So is there, what's your modification?
So the motion that I would make is to fund the auditor at the amount listed.
This slope, please. Same.
And to decrease the other amounts to 1/4.
He's not the only one with a contract. You have Dewberry, who's our planner, at an hourly rate. There's a lot involved.
But Dewberry wasn't a problem last year. Somehow,
Not Dewberry, Burgess, sorry.
you can
Spectrum
make
and-
additional motions, but
and
my
spec-
motion is 1/4 of what's there and the Nisavachev phone.
I'm sorry?
No, Nisavachev phone. The auditor at the full amount.
So you want to 25%
Yep.
of the value.
And then after the budget, we pass another one increase. They could do a second motion.
Yeah.
Let's do it after that.
What's that? We'll do this one right now. Reduce it by 25%. Reduce it by 25?
No, 225, what the number says. So if you'd like me to restate my motion?
Yeah, just so you have it right here.
You ready?
To fund the auditor at the amount listed, decrease and Okay. Mr. Jedynak, your motion is to fund the auditor at the amount listed on R1910 and decrease the other amounts to 25% of the proposed amounts in R1910.
Correct.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I got a motion made by Jedynak, and I have a second by Palumbo. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Friedlander?
No.
Councilmember Jedynak?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbo?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Abstain.
Councilmember Sackett?
No.
Councilmember Jackson?
No.
Vice President Abrahamsen?
Yes.
President Kelley?
Yes.
And 4 noes and 1 abstention.
I got 3 noes.
Oh, 3, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 3 noes.
I'm sorry.
1 abstention.
Yeah. 4
Quinn
yeses,
Felton.
3 noes, 1 abstention. It's only. Motion carries for the amendment. Yeah. Does everybody understand what happened? Mr. Freelander? For a resolution, it's what's here, majority.
Jackson.
So that we only have 8 members here, it's not a majority, it's half.
Majority is here.
Majority present.
Yes.
Majority of quorum.
And it's present, what's the president?
Majority of
It's 4-3. It's 4-3. No, it's right here. We went through this at the beginning of last year. It's in Robert's rules. An abstention doesn't count as a yes or a no. And we also have an email that I can go dig up after the meeting from the attorney stating that. That one I don't have with me.
It's not the entire council.
It's 4-3 with 1 abstention.
Okay, you have that amendment? Mr. Jackson, do you have any questions? Mr. Sackett? Do we have any other motions of any amendments?
I have a motion. I'm sorry, what?
You passed one.
I'm sorry, did you want to talk?
No.
Can you read the motion again? What was the motion that Mr. Jedynak made? To lower the amounts by 25%,
No,
correct?
to 25% of that. I have the motion from Councilman Jedynak. I'm sorry, it just flows. Motion to fund the auditor at the amount listed on R19-10, decrease all other amounts to 25% of the proposed amounts in R19-10.
So all the prosecutors and everybody, they're not going to get their contract. I can't give them contracts
Why would you be unable to give them a contract?
because I
The
can't,
hourly rate is still the same.
but I can't pay them. Oh, never mind, just, go ahead.
What prevents, no, explain that. What prevents you told us earlier that the hourly rate does not appear on the contracts. The hourly rate is still preserved. The hourly rate is still preserved for 1 quarter of the year. And you can continue to do what you do. And then when we go through the budget process, we can do another resolution to have it better match what actually comes out of the budget.
All right, you're assuming that the quarter is going to get them through there, so I'll...
The only reason I have that assumption is I have no further documentation from the administration. I don't have a report or anything to tell me otherwise.
But didn't Mr. Brewer last year tell us it was a temporary budget, basically, with this R18?
It is a temporary budget. I can't go over the budget, and I couldn't go over that amount anyway.
Well, we
no
don't have
matter
a
what
budget,
you
so
put
we
in
use this
there.
as a temporary gauge to move forward with it, right?
But it might not be enough. That's what
So,
I'm
but the
saying.
Or it could be enough.
Could be, but it's probably not.
And the-
But it could.
We're done.
Could you speak in the microphone so I can assist us with the minutes?
We're done.
And,
That's fine.
and Council President, the temporary budget is set at 1/4. So these amounts, if they're coming out of operating expenses, shouldn't exceed the amounts in the temporary budget.
But not everything comes out of the operating budget, but we're done.
And we don't know that because we don't have any accounts listed on this resolution like last year. We don't know which ones are operating expenses and which ones are capital expenditures.
Is there any?
I had a motion.
The floor to Vice President.
I have a motion. I want to make a motion that we remove item number 11, Iaciofano and Perone, from the list.
No, we passed an amendment.
We made an amendment.
We have not yet voted on the resolution. I seconded that, Council President.
Can we add some clarity to that, though, before you do this?
Me?
You have here to remove,
Go ahead. What?
you have here to remove,
Down from the list. Right?
hold on. If I have this correct.
Go ahead.
You're making a motion to remove number 11 of R19-10.
I'm sorry, yes, I didn't say that.
Which is Iaciofano and Perone?
Yes.
So my amendment decreased it to 25%, and the proposed motion that I've seconded by the Council Vice President would simply remove that line. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's your motion?
That's my motion. You get it?
Yeah. No, I understand. It should be removed. I would put, yeah.
He's trying to take out the attorney.
Attorney or town attorney.
Remove him from the report.
He's one of the professionals. Number 11, where it says attorney, trying to remove amount.
He's a whole
I'm going to read it again, Council President. You ready? Vice President. Jesus, I know. I'm sorry. Vice President Abrahamsen, your motion is motion to remove line number 11, Iaciofano and Perone, from Resolution R19-10.
Yes. Correct. Correct.
That's accurate. Do I have a second on that motion?
It was seconded by me.
Jedynak seconded. Motion. Clerk, please do the roll. No. Do you have discussion? Okay.
Any discussion?
My question would be if Iaciofano firm is removed, who would handle our town business?
I would urge the mayor, who has the power, to appoint another attorney.
Agreed. And recall that we ran into this issue where the majority voted against the reappointment of this attorney. We're allowed to have discussion on the public record. That's the purpose here, sir.
Right, you're yeah. Right? Clerk, please do the roll.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Absolutely not.
Councilmember Jedynak?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbo?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Sackett?
No.
Councilmember Jackson?
No.
Vice President Abrahamsen?
Yes.
President Kelley?
Yes.
Excellent job, guys. The future.
5 yeses, 3 noes. Motion carries for the amendment. Now, we're going to vote on the entire resolution? Amended resolution? Sorry? Correct. What is going to happen? Yeah, what we changed for those numbers and the individual removed. So just so everybody, Mr. Freelander, do you have any questions? I'm sorry? The motion now is to vote for the amended resolution R19 -10. Mr. Sackett, do you have any questions at all? Mr. Jackson? No? Everybody else? Mr. Plum? Do I have a motion? Oh, original.
Yeah. Do it again?
Do we have a motion?
I don't know.
Yeah, you made a motion originally.
I don't think we did. I have no note of it.
So I'm making a motion to...
I make a motion to move the amended resolution 19-10.
I'll second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Friedlander?
No.
Councilmember Jedynak?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbo?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Sackett?
No.
Councilmember Jackson?
No.
Vice President Abrahamsen?
Yes.
President Kelley?
Yes. 5 yeses,
5 yeses, 3 noes.
3 noes. Motion carries. Almost here.
What would it tie?
Yeah, I'm just trying to. We have council appointments on number 12. I'll do these all in one sheet. Council appointments would be A, firefighters. We got Brandon Newell. We have Sean Brusio, Brian Slater, Joshua Zuckenberg, James Wilfong, Nicholas Wachowski. We have B would be EMS, Joshua Zuckenberg. And then we have C would be the Rockaway Valley Regional Sewer Authority, Hector Shorno. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second. Motion made by Abrahamsen, seconded by Mr. Freeland. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Jedynak?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbo?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Sackett?
Yes.
Councilmember Jackson?
Yes.
Vice President Abrahamsen?
Yes.
President Kelley?
Yes. We have 8 yeses, motion carries. I have number 13, mayor's appointments. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I know. Well, I have mayor's appointments and mayor's appointments with the vice and assembly council.
Which are 7 items, we'll do with 13 first.
Mayor Puzio, can you?
Microphone?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It doesn't pick it up on
I'm
the
sorry.
recording.
Number 13, mayor's appointments. I have Doug Romaine for a planning board, class 4.
Congratulations, Mr. Romaine.
Number.
Can you just give us a little background on Mr. Romaine?
Yes, he's been, I don't have his resume in front of me.
Resume's in the packet.
But it's in the packet. He has construction background. He served as a freeholder. What year, 1970s?
Yeah, 73.
Right around the corner.
73, so he has some government experience, construction background. I think he'll be a good fit.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Is there anything you want to say, Mr. Romaine?
I look forward to serving the township once again.
Is this your first time on the planning board?
No, I was on the county planning board.
I'm in for the township.
No.
First time?
First time.
Yeah. Congrats. 14, mayor's appointment.
Yeah. 14.
Mayor's appointment with advice and consent of the Council Citizens Rep Committee.
Robert Conlon, Margaret Argienziano, John Boylan, Tom McGinley, Kevin McClune, Gerard Nolan, Brian Toohey, Rich Oler, Jackie Quinn Bader, Nicholas Woolwork, Steve Leo, and Amy Colas. The last three, I remember we had the issue last time. We tabled this. That's why it's being read tonight.
Yeah.
I supplied the council with the resumes as they requested.
Yeah, I got it myself.
Thank you.
Council President, we did receive resumes for the last three, but not for the first 9.
They've been on for forever.
Yeah.
And I would have to, I agree. I mean, you know, we have some, Mr. Conlon, Mr. Oler, who's also an attorney.
It's my understanding that Mr. Tui doesn't live in town any longer.
No, he doesn't.
He's not a resident of Rockaway any longer.
He's never expressed that to me.
He told me.
He did?
Yeah.
Do you have to be a resident in order to be on it?
I would assume so. I'll have to look at the bylaws.
I didn't think that that was going to be an issue, but hold on one second. We'll take a look.
And Mrs. Seeger, we had a matter, I can't get into it with names, but we have a matter that was reported to you and our attorney labor counsel.
Correct.
And it was an individual with some comments and unbecoming and potentially violation of policy and procedure and anti-harassment.
It is waiting for the labor attorney to get back to me on that.
Right.
The one complaint that was made was hopefully already taken care of.
Hopefully, as in you don't know.
I didn't follow up yet.
We have an I don't want to name the individual, but
I get it. I know.
Okay. So do we want to? How do we want to proceed with that?
We proceed how we're supposed to proceed, and we can't say anybody's guilty till they're proven guilty.
I understand.
So they're innocent until proven guilty. That's all I can say, and it's a personnel matter.
Here's what I'm going to do with the appointments. I'm going to leave everybody listed, and that's been brought to my attention, Mr. Tui.
It was in conversation.
Sure, I'll speak with him, and if he says he doesn't live in town, I'll ask him. Then he'll just be, well, we'll remove him because it'll be in the bylaws, and then I'll have to figure out who else I can appoint. So for now, just stick with it. I'll speak to him. Someone will speak to him from administration. Give me a chance to look. We'll look through the bylaws, but we'll get it rectified. If he does not live in town and he's not supposed to be on the committee, we'll take care of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's called the Citizens Rec Committee. We shouldn't, I mean, you should just, why not simply withhold that?
Okay, I'm going to keep him on as I said, I'm going to keep him on. If he is not, if I find out that he is not a resident, we'll speak with him, and then he'll be removed.
Why would you remove somebody?
Because I don't want to come back to this and delay it any longer. I'll take care of it on the administration.
Why would we vote on someone we can't confirm as a resident on the Citizens Rec Committee?
Listen, you guys can vote how you want. These are the recommendations. I explained to you what I'm doing. You can vote how
Mayor, you'll remove him if he's not a citizen?
Yeah, if it's in the bylaws, yeah, I'll pull him off.
Wait, what mechanism is there for removal of a Citizens Rec member?
I don't know if there's a method.
Is.
Well, it doesn't matter. I'm going to speak with him. I'm going to remove him from, I'm going to simply remove him from the committee.
I'm going to make it real easy, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry. It's real simple. If there's a violation of what we have in the provisions of our code and our policies and whatnot, and one has to be a resident, no way that you're going to leave that on there in violation of that, regardless of what it, you wouldn't put yourself in that position, right?
Absolutely.
If the code, because our code is outdated, doesn't have that requirement.
I have a commitment.
You guys can vote.
By you, what you're going to do to correct it, remedy it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why is he being appointed in the first place?
You can vote now. Do I have a motion?
Motion. Yeah, I second. Third.
Who? I'm sorry. Is it Columbo?
I second.
Clerk, please call the roll. Sorry.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Jedynak?
No on I, VI, IX, and X. Yes to the rest.
Hold on 1 second.
The first no is I, Roman numeral I. The next no is VII. The next no is IX. And then X. Yes to the rest.
Jackie Bader, Nicholas Moore, Robert Conrad.
Okay, just to confirm, I, VII, IX, and X. Everything else is yes.
Correct.
Okay. Councilmember Palumbo?
Yes to all of them.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes to all.
Councilmember Sackett?
Yes to all.
Councilmember Jackson?
Yes.
Vice President Abrahamsen?
No on I, yes to the rest.
President Kelley?
No to I, rest to the left, yes to the rest. So we would have 3 no's on I. And then we have 1, I, X, and X, right? I'm just going to confuse it, bro.
Who are the names?
Give me 1 moment.
It's very confusing on the counter. That's all right.
It's not supposed to be personal.
Five yes to all. Okay, I can just do it as a blanket, right? And
I would ask Mr. Gotcha.
yeah, Mr. Iaciofano, on a vote of this, since it's so complicated, there's a majority that is in favor for all of the members that are on here. Can I just state that there's a majority of the members? Or do you want me to be very specific that we got 3 no's on this one, 1 no on that one? I mean, the majority rules in favor for all the members.
As long as the clerk has the record of the actual vote, okay, I would think it's sufficient that you note as council president simply that the entire list has been carried by X number of positive votes.
I don't want to, yeah, I mean, we have the count. I just don't want to be, God forbid, it just somehow gets, one of them is different from another, but the motion carries.
Yeah, just note the total vote count that carried the motion, that's all.
The total vote count carried the motion for the mayor's appointment with advice and consent of the council. We have old business. There's nothing on old business. We have new business. We have discussion of ordinance 19-07, amending rules and procedures of meeting of the council, subsection 2.2-5.2, regular meetings of the revised general ordinances, and discussion of 019-08, rules of procedure meetings of the council, subsection 2-5.14, addressing the council of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Rockaway. On A, do we have any discussion you want to?
Council President, you have it in front of you. I don't know if everyone has had an opportunity to review that draft. Everyone got one, but it wasn't printed, but he has it printed. Right, not printed.
Is there any way, due to the lateness of the hour, 12 o'clock, that we'd be able to table this, or do you guys feel that it's...
You know what, I would do that moving forward. Council President, Council Jedynak.
So the purpose of 1907 is to give the council the flexibility to schedule reorg meetings in accordance with state statute and not have the restrictions of the current code. So that's what that one does. And the ordinance 1908, to the point of the members of the audience who had said, if you don't like the code, change it. That's the purpose of 7, as well as 8. 8 would remove the restriction on free speech that Mr. Waters alluded to that requires the public to direct all comments only to the council president rather than allowing them to speak on any issue. That is the purpose of those two ordinances. Ordinances take an introduction and then an adoption vote, and then do not take effect until another 20 days after passage. So even if this governing body were to take action tonight, these ordinances likely would not take effect until March.
Okay.
Any discussion?
That's the end of discussion. We can bring that back on. Is there any other discussion that Mr. Jackson, Mr. Freelander? No. I think, you know what?
Moving forward, he said.
I'm sorry, say that again, Mr. Freelander, I'm sorry?
I thought you had no problem with closing the meeting. Moving forward.
No, he wanted to table the new business.
Yeah.
We have closed session to still deal with. We have another.
You said moving forward. Do you not mean?
He's thinking he said it.
No. I mean, we were going to table this to A and B.
Yeah.
Right, we still got to go into closed session.
Good, you got to make a motion to table them first.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, they're up for discussion. They're
up for discussion though, right, Mr. Iaciofano?
Well, I don't know that you reached that point. I mean, I thought that was more by way of an explanation from Councilmember Jedynak.
These ordinances were submitted for discussion of the council to decide if it wanted to take action on them or refer them for further refinement if necessary. Council President, maybe if there is an opposition to it, perhaps these two ordinances could be submitted to the Township Attorney.
I'd be happy to comment on both of them for the next meeting.
Yeah, but we don't have to table these. There's no vote on anything here.
No, they're not even on for introduction.
No.
You just bypass them.
Yeah.
We have closed session. Everybody? We have closed session R19-32, resolution authorizing an executive closed session in accordance with the New Jersey Public Meeting Act, NJSA 4-6, DT, to discuss confidential security issues and proposed health department services agreement. I want to make a motion to amend this closed session, just to add one small thing onto it. Yeah, but I'm going to make it a short time for discussion, Mr. Freelander, of time. So I'm actually going to put on here for discuss the litigation known as Schmidt versus Hollenbach, docket number Schmidt and Hollenbach versus Rockaway Township, docket number C-131-18, and Schmidt versus Rockaway Township and Acting Clerk Christina Clipperton, which would be MRSL 002535-18. That's the docket number. I know that they are.
I have them here.
I have it, so I mean, I have a memory of it anyway. I anticipate this closed session to go for about 45 minutes or less, and I am looking for 120 days to make these documents or the minutes available to the public. So I have a motion to amend this closed session.
Second.
Before we go to closed session, is there any way that we could get some of the department heads out here that need to be here?
All we need is Peter, right?
I know they're going to be fine.
Well, Peter has to stay, right?
Yeah.
If we, Mr. Iaciofano, since we're already through with making the motion, can we make the motion and then go into closed session and then pause that for a moment? And then go into the reports and talk about it with the professionals?
You really should. If you make a motion, if you read the closed session resolution, you should go successively.
I'll make another motion again then, so we can, I'll make the amendment and then go into closed session, so we can have them on there. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a good suggestion. So what do you want to do? You want to go into reports and then council will do their own reports afterwards so we can get these to... I'm trying to...
I don't have anything tonight, so yeah, we can go down the line and have everybody just...
And we'll save the council's reports and after we come out of closed session?
Yeah. Are we going to vote on your motion before we have the department head reports because we didn't complete that?
Mr. Iaciofano, can we complete the motion for the amendment of the closed session?
But not
And
to
then,
actually-
and then vote on the closed session after we get the reports?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
If they're going to leave after their report,
Yes.
because I wanted to ask a couple people in administration, something, so technically it's new business, but I thought that I would do it.
So what are you asking now?
I have a couple of questions for administration on a couple issues that were presented.
Yeah, they're doing a report.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But we're going to have our reports we're not going to do anything with. We're going to jump.
Just his question.
Yeah. Okay. We might not even have any reports. So do you have my motion?
No, I don't have it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The motion to amend resolution to approve discussion of litigation.
Known as Schmidt versus Hollenbach. Schmidt and Hollenbach versus Rockaway Township.
Docket number.
C-131-18. Schmidt versus Rockaway Township and Acting Clerk Christina Clipperton. And that's MRS-11-002535-18. And the closed session would be, well, I'll say that when we, okay? So I made a motion for that, and I'll read the motion. You did it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody understand the motion that was made before, gentlemen? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Friedlander?
No.
Councilmember Jedynak?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbo?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Sackett?
No.
Councilmember Jackson?
I'm sorry. What, is this to stay out here and I can do the report?
No, this is
No.
the motion amendment for adding the litigation onto the closed session.
No.
Vice President Abrahamsen?
Yes.
President Kelley?
Yes. I have
5 yes.
5 yeses and 3 noes. Motion carries. Closed session motion is amended. Mr. Mayor, we're going to skip you, right, as far as your report?
He has done.
Okay. Mrs. Seeger?
I was just going to tell you about the camera and the microphones, and I already did that.
All right, you did a great job. Thank you for that too, by the way.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Palmieri?
No report, thank you.
Mrs. Ferrante?
Yes, all I want to say is that the construction activities along Richard Mine Road will not be taking place this week due to the weather. They should resume the following week, but we'll let you know.
I'm doing a septic right now too, and we're halted. The weather's horrible.
Council President, while we're on engineering, there were some questions about the work being done on Richard Mine Road. and it's a storm drain project.
Yes, we had stream cleaning activities, which are about 85% complete, and then storm drainage inlets and culvert replacement activities, which should be completed hopefully shortly. And then we'll let the trench settle and come back in the spring when temperature's warm and do milling and paving activities.
And there are residents who live on that part of Richard Mine Road who are asking, while the work is being done, why sewers are not being installed on that section of Richard Mine Road.
Yeah, that's a completely different scope of work. This has been approved and addressed by council.
And it actually came, the request for sewers for that part of Richard Mine Road came up as a request last spring when Mr. Brewer was here. So I don't know if Ms. Seeger, he left notes, but it's certainly in the minutes of the meetings from that time period. I think it's around May. But I think because residents on that section of Richard Mine Road are asking about it again, it would be good for the administration to bring themselves up to speed now that we have a new engineer, so that as I expect that those questions will start to filter into the administration as to why are we doing this work but not doing this other work. So it's an opportunity to kind of be ahead of that.
I think it was discussed at the council meeting, but I will check. But I thought the consent from the council was not to move forward because of the cost prohibit. Mr. Sheard, is that correct?
Oh, sorry about that. Yes, there actually was no engineering survey done for the lower portion of Richard Mine Road between Mount Hope Avenue and Coburn, which is the extent of the residence there. Because the stormwater project is only approximately 400 feet long, and the sanitary sewer project is probably about 1.5 miles long, depending on engineering studies, so it was never completed. We did get a proposal last year, but we never moved forward, as Ms. Seeger stated.
While you're on that topic, the section of Richard Mine Road between Mount Hope Avenue and Mount Hope Road, they've had numerous requests for sewers in that area, so if you're going to investigate into anything in that area, could you please include them?
There was a survey and a whole engineering report completed on that, and I'd have to refresh with the administration as to that report before any further things, but a report was done on that section.
Okay, thank you.
I think that was almost difficult, Mr. Sheard, in relation to one home might have been connected on Richard Mine, to go through an easement to somebody on Mount Hope.
Yeah, we had one home connected that way, but the sanitary sewer project that the Councilman Smith's talking about included
Walnut House.
Richard Mine Road, Mount Hope Road, all the way up Evermint, that whole area.
They're having a lot of problems there. Drainage.
Mr. Tappan?
Just wanted to, Council President, every year I make application for a community development block grant with the county, and then we collaboratively work on projects. We've had some success in recent years with the health center and the senior center. So this year we've made application, and I'm obligated to report it to the governing body as part of the application. We've made application for renovation to the lower level of the senior center for ADA compliance and for restoration to the interior. This would be essentially a final phase towards senior center restoration. We worked on the entries in the past and the curbing, and we repaved the lot. Also, the roof is slated to be taken care of as soon as the weather breaks, and we were approved for upper level restoration with the 2018 grant application. The total anticipated expenditures are $67,436, of which $54,606 would be covered by the CDBG grant. So just wanted to report that to the governing body.
Can I just follow up on that? Or you have something else, Mr.?
No, that was it.
Yeah, since one thing you touched on, it was the ADA compliance for the senior building that was over there.
Correct.
That you had to do, that was on there. And again, under the ADA compliance under Uniform Construction Code, we talked about it earlier of last year, and the gazebo. Since it's something that the township has, we sponsored events there through the township. And through sponsorship of that, we then become required in order to meet those obligations for ADA compliancy. Emily is her name, her last name escapes me from the state. who's well versed in that, and the area around the gazebo to get the exact pitch that we needed. I think it was a 6-1 pitch, and the overall distance might have been 90 feet to circle around the octagon of that area. Is there something that we're looking into in order to be compliant with that?
I'm told by a voice in my ear that we're working on this.
Okay. But that's something moving forward on that, because we, in the same...
Part of the approval of doing the gazebo, giving us the money, that we would look into the ADA ramp and report back.
Right, well, I think the compliance for ADA would be necessary first before we went into anything else, I would imagine.
We have not verified that.
And have we confirmed about, I mean, from the documents that I received, we don't have a CO for that structure. Did we get a CO yet and have it inspected?
I've not personally been involved in...
Mr. Shear?
This is the first I'm hearing that regarding a CO for the actual gazebo.
Yeah.
But between myself and Allison, we'll look into it.
2018, but there was no CO and there was no final inspections on that project that was there from 1988.
That was brought up to administration next year.
Council President, I got a question.
Mr. Palumbo?
Hey, Mr. Seeger, I just want to understand your one comment about the gazebo. We're not sure that in order to, before we do anything to the gazebo, we're not sure that we have to put an ADA ramp
No,
in?
the project that got approved for the for Parks Lake was fixing up the
Memorial area?
The memorial area. We weren't going to touch the gazebo, but Mr. Kelley asked us to look into that and about adding the ADA ramp, and we're in the process of doing that.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different the second time you said it.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay. It's clear. Mr. Shear, I think the big thing, you know, and I appreciate it, I'd asked Mayor Puzio, which I believe he was already, I stole his words off your tongue to invite Mr. Shear here with regard, and it's glad to have you here because, you know, there's so many questions that we get asked throughout the council meeting in the past year that, you know, you holding many hats in fire and DPW and water, it'd be great to have you here. And since the water issue that we had over on well 7 concerning the pump and the cloudy contamination and sediment and all that kind of stuff that was going on, and it's still not completed, right? I think Schulte's still working on it?
Yes, we're still in the process.
It would be great if you could kind of give us a little bit of a...
First, I'd like to start off by thanking the residents for their compliments tonight for the road division, you know, because when we plow, it's both water, parks, and roads. We all plow together. We anticipated a big storm of 12 inches. It petered down to 3 inches, but we had an icing afterwards, which made it very difficult, as well as sub-zero temperatures. So, you know, the guys did an awesome job, and, you know, that's what we do. But I can't compliment the guys enough on that job. Along with that, during the same storm and everything, my water superintendent, Gene, here, received a complaint of milky white water in people's water. We had this incident back in 2012. Gene immediately had his guys go down to the well field. They determined what it was. Gene started corrective actions, notified myself. I made a notification to administration. So we did what we had to do. We throttled back the well. Not to keep this long, well 7 normally does about 700, 750 gallons per minute. We throttled it back to about 300 to get the cloudy water to start to clear up. We also took some other provisions, made some adjustments to other pumping facilities so that we can maintain constant pumping of water into the system. Within a few hours, it did start to clear up. By noon on Saturday, we had clear water pumping back into the system. We looked good. We were able to increase the well a little bit. And then around 5:30, Gene went to do a load of wash in his own house, and once again saw the cloudy water. Gene and the crew worked throughout the night to help correct that matter. So by Sunday morning, you know, everything was pretty much back to normal as far as the clarity of the water. Now, during that time, on Sunday morning, you know, as we did all this, it was Sunday, the crews went out, we collected bacteriological samples throughout the system. We did implement a precautionary boil water order, the exact same way we did back in 2012 when this occurred. We collected the samples. We got notices out to as many residents as we could through social media, the website, Nixtal, and things of that. We made some phone calls to like the Board of Education and a few other places. And again, it was strictly cautionary. The biggest thing is that it's not as though we had I hate to say the word, a water main break, and we had outside contamination getting into a pipe. The gray water came from the actual well itself, and the water actually flows through the gray water to get into the well. So it's all the same, and we disinfect the water and everything. So it came really from the source. So if anything, it was a turbidity and an aesthetics issue, not a contamination issue. So with all that said, we worked through Sunday, or I should say Jean did. I was actually sick. They did an awesome job. They kept the tanks full for fire protection and everything else, as well as working through the cold. We had a pump company that we keep on standby that does a lot of work for us come in. The first thing they did was started a flow test. Then they had a crew come in to start pulling the pump. During all this time, within 48 hours, we had all the bacteria samples tested. Everything was negative, and we were able to drink the water again. And then at this point in time, we have the pump and the well pulled. We found some holes in the pump column, not the casing. Okay, there was some misinformation out there. It's the pump column where the water actually flows up out of the pump, not the casing that is the actual well. We found some holes there, and we also found a hole in the pump. Today, Gene and myself spoke with AC Schultes. They've seen this before, and it's just the way, with the water table moving up and down and the fluctuations, and sometimes it's the different metals that occur, and it just happens. He's seen well pumps that have lasted 15 years and well casings that have lasted 20 years. In this case, well 7, for myself personally, this is the 3rd time that I've replaced the well pump and the casing in this well. So pretty much, history has now told us about every 5 years we're going to be replacing this well pump and casing, just as a preventive measure. Tomorrow we'll be TVing the well to just make sure there's nothing wrong. This is a sand and gravel well, which is different than a rock well. I'm not going to get into all that, but we're going to make sure that the screens are all in good shape and everything in the well itself. And hopefully Thursday to Friday we'll be resetting a new pump and pump column and having the well back onto its full capacity of about 750 gallons per minute. Some of the other things, again, this happened back in 2012, and it's back then we figured that there was just a clump of clay that broke loose through just in the hydrological area of the ground soils. So it's something that has occurred. No reason or why. I can't tell you how it happened, but it's happened. We were able to correct it immediately, and Gene and his crews did an awesome job of keeping us in water. We got a well that we're trying to replace back online over the weekend. We're hoping to drill a new well this year down at the well field. Well 10, it's actually going to be, and that's pretty much the story. We also took additional samples, and they all came back good today. So collectively, we did almost 18 bacteriological samples and turbidity samples.
Beyond what you would be required to do as just a...
Yes, by law, we only had to do 9. Yeah. We did almost 18.
Yeah. Twice the amount.
What's the total number of customers affected by it?
Okay, again, the Green Pond, all of our residents on Green Pond Road were not impacted by this, although we sent the word out to the whole utility because we wanted to conserve water, because our Green Pond pressure zone does feed into White Meadow Lake. White Meadow Lake feeds into Fleetwood. Fleetwood feeds all the way over to the mall, which is about 3/4 of our, actually, I take that back, 5/6 of our water system. The water flows pretty much one direction in Rockaway Township.
And because of its position in that flow, it has an effect on the entire system?
Yes, it pumps, as the council president put in his post, it flows from the well field up Sanders Road. From that booster station, it flows to a 1-million-gallon water storage tank with another tank. From there, it's pumped up to our High Erie water system, and it's also pumped through our Middletown water system to our 2 million gallons and our 750,000 gallon tanks in the Fleetwood section.
We had talked in the fall about doing a tour for the council of the water infrastructure. This is just one more reason that the council should do something like that. So perhaps it's something that Mayor Puzio would be willing to allow the Public Works and Water Department to coordinate. When it's warmer.
You have an expectation of when well 10 may be coming down the pipe?
At this point in time, correct me if I'm wrong, Gene, we've gotten about 2/3 of our DEP permitting. Our engineers at Dewberry are working on our actual bid spec, and we did do a board testing a year and a half ago to get the capacity, and we're looking at, according to our hydrogeological engineer, hopefully up to 1,000 gallons per minute. And we're hoping to have that hole drilled by the end of the year. And then from that point, it's only 10 feet to tie it into our existing water system, but we do have to build the well house and put the pump in and all that stuff.
Good. Anybody else have any questions on the well? I just got two things, I'll make them pretty fast.
Sure.
For you. Since you're talking about the well house and stuff like that, and our budget coming up shortly, what we have there, money aside, have we looked into any possibilities? I know the project that you have that's going over into the A field, the salt dome is, and the amount of money, the exorbitant amount of money that we're putting aside. Can we look into maybe venturing, doing maybe a pole barn or some type of a pre-construction that would save us a lot of money to use that money that the infrastructure repairs with water? Like I would rather spend $300,000 or $400,000 of savings into well number 10 or any pumps that we have, rather than spend money into this construction that has been projected for quite some time now. And a lot of these pole barns that have been going up, not only just in Rockaway, but through Morris County and the state of New Jersey, there's a lot of money that can be saved there with some of these turnkey operations that go there. So just something looking forward towards the...
Well, this project is actually, as far as architectural design and engineering is done, we're actually hoping to go out to bid within the next 2 to 3 months. For the operations building, no, for the operations building next to the salt dome at Middletown.
Is there a way of doing a comparison of what a pole barn building would be versus the building that you want to put?
If that's what's requested, just need to go through administration and we'll do what we got to do.
And you wouldn't oppose that, right?
Well, we'd have to find the funds to do it.
It would be cheaper than the ones that you currently have now.
But whatever administration instructs me to do, Council President, I'll gladly do.
Is that all right, Mr. Puzio, Mayor Puzio? And then the last question I have, and I'll make this pretty quick too. Through my travels throughout the 6th Ward and whatnot, I go through a whole bunch of areas and whatnot.
Yeah, I see you.
Yeah, been a long time. Usually Sundays, I usually kind of buzz around and whatnot. I saw Mark out over on Crescent Ridge.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not sure, I mean, you look at the mark out there and everything that's going on, and I had asked for some information from you, which you were very kind to report to me. And I went out and saw some stuff. It kind of appears what the town's trying to do. Is there a problem over on Crescent Ridge in that area of the downward direction?
What it is we have a resident over there that has an issue with water supposedly going over her driveway. And under the instructions of the mayor, we were told to install a storm drain at his request.
Did an ongoing issue. I talked to Mike Atchison a while back. He was going to work on it. They've had complaints. They've had washout over their septic field. It's been going on and on and on. And I spoke with Bobby, ran into Bobby, and asked him if it would be potentially possible to put a storm drain in for the They recrowned the road, from what I understand.
Well, they paved it in what, 2015? You didn't recrown it.
Well, they paved it. There's a high spots and it causes water to run over the resident's property.
Mayor, if I could, the crown of the road is correct.
Yes, I know.
Okay. The issue is that...
Transit shot, I mean, did you shoot this at all?
Did I personally shoot it? No.
Who did?
The situation was not shot. There was no, transit shooting or any elevations taken. It's the issue of her driveway. If you've been there, you saw the berm that we installed there. She's
that berm put in years ago?
prior to me becoming director.
Okay.
So The berm is there, and she still claims that water goes over top of the berm and down her driveway, eroding the property as the mayor had stated. So after speaking with the mayor and information that he has, he instructed me to install a basin there.
But what I don't understand is that when you look at it, maybe Mrs. Ferrante can chime in. You know, when you have a crown, when you're doing a road, right, one side is X amount in its height. Matter of fact, from where your proposed basin is to the other side is a 3-inch difference in your heights. It's lower over at 19, where you had a problem and there's ice that builds up and water and whatnot to still.
And prior to paving, they did do a lot of drainage over there.
Yeah, I know, I saw that, and in 2013, it looks like there was a basin put in, and then we milled the road, and then we repaved everything,
right?
Those catch basins. But when you look at it, for where your proposed is, and then only 90 feet down, there's another catch basin, and there's a little bit, like 6.5 inches of pitch from one location to the other. Now, there's no curbing that's damaged on that road on Crescent Ridge, none whatsoever. And there's a berm that's on that driveway on the apron end of it. So your flow that you have in the gutter, and then the profile that you have, because you took photos of the profile of the water, none of it was going over the driveway. Now, if you're facing the house and you're looking at it, the driveway is on the far right-hand side.
Correct.
How would water make a 90-degree turn with no obstruction in the middle or at the end of the driveway to go down the driveway? If anything, it would go across the driveway into the vegetated area on the other side. So, if what I see what you have, you're going to potentially put a curb box in.
Type A basin.
Yeah, they're just a type A.
Yeah, we're going to put a basin right there prior to her driveway.
You're going to put a trunk line going over to tie into the other basin that you installed over at 19.
Correct.
What are you going to achieve?
We're just catching the water coming down on the curb side in front of the house of number 28 to reduce the amount of water flow that's going across her front of her driveway.
But your own pictures show that it doesn't, that there is no water going over the driveway.
I've driven up there after multiple complaints. I've seen water go up, over and down.
So you witnessed it now. You've witnessed it. You have photos to verify. I mean, we're going to spend thousands of dollars to put a catch basin in.
What was the cost?
It's going to cost probably about $1,500 for us to install the basin and get it across the road.
That's the value of that job, $1,500.
The basin itself is about, I think, inlet is about $600 and some dollars. We're putting in, I think it was 30 feet of pipe. You know, just we're probably only going to do a 12-inch pipe, about 4 feet deep, and not even 4 feet deep. I'm sorry, about 3 feet deep, and it'll be a 2-day job. So,
Mrs. Fronte, did you go out there and do any shoots or look at this?
When I was an engineering inspector, I did take a look at it probably about a year ago, and it was under a dry condition, so I did not observe the volume of gutter flow that would make it to this resident's address. I did observe the berm and the upstream inlet and downstream inlet. I believe there was, like you said, between 90 and 120, 130
like
feet between the basins.
Yeah, 91 feet.
91 feet between the basins or between?
From the center of the proposed basin to the basin that's south of it.
Between the basins.
Yeah, the proposed downstream basin is about 90 feet.
And then, you really got to look. You really got to look at the drainage area and the volume of water that is going to be in that little triangle that's going to make it to that gutter flow, and based on the rain event, the storm event.
Can we just get a report on that, just to verify everything that you have here, rather than I saw this, I did that? I mean, it just seems just a little bit, it's a lot limited, and it doesn't really seem that there's a need for it, to be quite honest. I mean, your photos themselves show it. And
I never saw the water go over top of the driveway myself, sir.
I know that. That's a concerning thing.
And, I went over, I was given an order, and I'm following my order.
So I would value, from what Mr. Sheard's saying, that there's no water that goes over there, so.
So in the interest of time, is engineering going to be giving us a report?
Can you just give me a report on that, for the need of that?
Mayor? Mayor? Will engineering be giving us a report on that?
Well, I'll take it under advisement. I need to speak to Mr. Sheard.
Thank you, Mr. Sheard.
My pleasure.
With that being said, Assistant Business Administrator.
I have nothing, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Mr. President, I do want to give kudos to Gene here for all.
Oh, we're not yet. We're going to go into that. Absolutely. I see them when I was plowing. I see you guys. I don't see you stop working, Mr. Garabrandt, to be quite honest with you. I see you and I sweat. So, I mean, you guys and the water guys are unbelievable. I tell you, I see Mr. Shaw, wet, freezing cold water, doing a lot of stuff, and those your other men as well. And I don't think people recognize what you do in the middle of the night, you know, just to get the job done, staying away from your families and what you have to do. So I do appreciate all your efforts. I'm sure the council's going to echo the same. And since you've come from Denville to here, you've been an unbelievable component to really assist and move Rockaway's water and sewer far, far ahead of what it's been in the past. So I do appreciate everything that you do. And please tell the men the same.
Thank you. I'll let you guys know. Appreciate it.
With that, we will make a motion to go in closed session?
Or 1932 as amended previously.
We weren't going through reports, Manny.
He wants to ask.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He never has.
Yeah, I'm sorry, mister.
Okay, I'll be quick.
No, go ahead, Frank.
Thank you. Lisa, this is for you and I guess your tax specialist. I was talking to somebody, everybody knows that the government, the national, you know, we're closed. 800,000 people. And I've been approached by a person that works for the government, lives in town, in Piccadilly, and they're private, you know, listen, everybody doesn't want charity. They just feel strange about asking for it. But they did say and asked if this could be done. And I said, I'll ask.
If they can contribute.
No, not contribute. They're not working. They're not getting paychecks.
No, I thought you were talking about people giving donations.
No, well, they're not looking for handouts.
No.
You know, they appreciate what the town is doing as far as that, but the question is, they pay the taxes. They're looking for an extension on their quarterly tax. In other words, they're paying things. That's what I said. I don't know. I don't know if there's extenuating circumstances to get an extension without penalties, and that's what they asked me.
There's nothing in place yet. If the state is looking into a program or a change, or if the governor makes, as of now, I have no way of extending anything.
Okay.
We don't have the approval yet. If it's
well, that's why I said this is above and beyond what you know, but it doesn't hurt to ask.
I think the governor's looking into that.
Yeah, by then, okay.
Yeah, but I don't think coming out.
So that's it. So I said it's a state thing that we can't do.
by statute.
Okay. One other thing. This is for, I guess, the mayor and the administration.
Yes.
Mayor Puzio. Another issue with the town. I'm not going to get into what side is right. The bear hunt. And I waited for the beginning of the year because the bear hunt was going on in the town. Okay, I was approached by, more than several, on Craigmere, which is county property, okay? But it's a state bear hunt. So I don't know who to go to. But I even drove up there. They had...
Football lights.
Okay, shut yours off now. You go up past Craigmere, in front there's that one building. They had a truck with those portable football lights that light up a field, and dead bear hanging from it. It's a way station. So they were shooting in town, killing the bear, and that's where they were.
You mean the golf course, Mr. Fillionaire?
Yeah.
Right, that building.
That's not Craigmere.
You said Craigmere.
That's state-owned. That used to be Bob Edholm.
Yeah, that's, well, next to it. It's that's right, sorry. It's the golf course. It's in front of that building.
Yep.
Okay? And I drove by at different times, and the lights at night were bright. I was there when one was hanging, and you got families going up and down Green Pond.
We can contact someone, I know it's state initiative, we can contact somebody, our assembly or senator, maybe Joe Panaccio, and speak to him about speaking to Fish and Game.
Yeah, because this is the time to do it, the beginning of the year.
Something up, block it.
No, different location. there's enough locations that they can put it out of the way and visible for people.
We will ask. That statement will ask, and hopefully they're responsive.
Mayor Puzio, you should have access to a liaison in the governor's office. Do you not have one?
I don't. I just contacted if we need something. I have any questions.
Okay, if it's state, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, there's a governor's office. There's a governor's office liaison.
Okay. Yes, I have the number. So, yeah, I didn't know if it was
State or county, but something should be done. So if it's state, no problem.
The liaison, we'll find out who the liaison is and speak to one of our representatives.
That'll work. I'm done.
You're good?
Thank you.
Real quick, anybody else? No? Mr. Sackett, anybody? Yeah, I'm just...
I moved amended R 1932.
Wants to move it, do with the amendment.
I'm moving the amended R 1932.
I see a motion by Jedynak.
Second.
This is for closed session, the amended closed session. Seconded by Abrahamsen.
I'm going to vote no.
Councilmember Friedlander?
No.
Councilmember Jedynak?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbo?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Sackett?
No.
Councilmember Jackson?
No.
Vice President Abrahamsen?
Yes.
President Kelley?
Yes. We have 5 yeses and 3 noes. Motion carries. We are going into closed session for roughly about 45 minutes, I hope, if not less. And I anticipate those minutes to be available within 120 days.
You can.
We're going to be back on the record. It is 1:54.
8 a.m.
What's the date?
23rd.
We have, everybody ready? We have D, 1:54 a.m. We have D, R-19-29, authorizing the mayor to enter a professional public health service agreement between the Township of Rockaway and the Town of Boonton from 2019 to 2021. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mrs. Smith?
Second.
Smith, motion. Second by Pat.
Sorry. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Jedynak?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbo?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Sackett?
Yes.
Councilmember Jackson?
Abstain.
Vice President Abrahamsen?
Yes.
President Kelley?
Yes. We got
7 yes, 1 abstention.
7 yeses, 1 abstention, motion carries. We have E on here, we have discussion, and this is actually for you, Mr. Mayor. We have discussion of a Damiano M Fracasso Esquire, and the Attorney Review Committee had met on Saturday, January.
I'm just going to let you know, I'm going to listen to what you have to say. I'm not going to make any comments at this time.
Sure.
But I will listen.
All right, great, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyways, the Attorney Review Committee had met, which consists of Councilman Palumbo, Councilman Jackson, and Councilman Kelley, myself. And the committee had asked each member to see if they would provide a name or names of attorneys There was only one name that was submitted, which I had submitted. The other two members, Palumbo and Jackson, could not come up with somebody that they can recommend, and then we can interview. Based on the one name that we had, we received a resume from that attorney that's been involved with government, been involved in the school board, knows OPMA and Oprah, actually had a case with Rockaway Township with Mr. Iaciofano, reviewed the briefs that we had with Schmidt and Hollenbach versus Rockaway Township, and Schmidt versus Rockaway Township and Acting Clerk Christina Clipperton. The interview process was roughly about an hour and a half that took place in presence of Mr. Palumbo and myself. Mr. Jackson had family obligations, could not attend. He was very diligent in providing that information about that.
I spoke to him yesterday.
There were minutes that were created at the meeting that were submitted to the members of the Attorney Review Committee. I believe Mr. Jackson this morning had reached out to Mr. Fracasso on 2 different occasions and was successful in getting him on the one and had some conversations with him. So with that being said, there was a vote of the members that were present at the Attorney Review Committee meeting on the 19th, and we voted to 2 things. One was to present that name to you for an appointment to handle the matter of Schmidt and Hollenbach versus Rockaway Township, and the docket on that one would be C 131-18. And the other matter would be, we would ask you to also appoint, with the consent of council, and recommend the name of Damiano Fracasso for the other matter known as Schmidt versus Rockaway Township and the acting clerk, and that docket number would be MRS L 002535-18. So since we don't have an attorney on record, hasn't been filed yet, the reply numbers have not been submitted. We could potentially be in default because they were due today, and for whatever reason, Mr. Iaciofano, who was attorney on record, did not submit that. You're creating additional exposure for the township itself under this case. So again, you haven't provided any names for that. We do have somebody that we recommend from our interviewing process that has some background on this. Would you please appoint the name that the Attorney Review Committee is recommending to you, excuse me, just hold on, and allow the consent of the council so we can move forward to provide a defense for the township in those matters described. Now, we also have another reply due on the 12th of February, which is another council meeting that we have. That's our next council meeting. So between now and then...
We're due to appear on the 12th.
What's that?
We're due to appear on the 12th.
So we don't have anything moving forward for representation at all with the township. And I'm assuming you read the briefs on both counts?
As I said tonight, I appreciate your time. I'm not going to be making any comments. I'm just going to listen.
So you're not going to...
I'm not going to be making any comments.
You're not going to make any appointments?
That would be correct. I'm not going to be making any comments tonight. I'm here to listen, and this will go through our town attorney, and I'm going to be following his advice and the court's advice if it ends up there.
So currently, right now, if I understand correctly, you're appointing or have appointed the township attorney.
I'm not going to be discussing anything yet further, Mr. Kelley.
So you're not going to assist the council?
I'm not going to be discussing anything further. I don't know how many times I can say it. I told you I would listen, giving you the courtesy of that.
I understand.
There's not going to be an exchange between you and I, or myself and Mr. Jedynak, or any other council people. I told you I'm going to listen to what you have to say. It's late. It's 2 o'clock right now. Very, very tired.
Right.
Not in the position to make any decisions. I'm listening to what you have to say.
Well, this matter is actually something that's not super new. I mean, we're talking the 17th of December, so it's before the new year. I mean, I know that it's late for you now, but you've had ample amount of time to make these decisions moving forward to protect the township and its employees, and you're choosing not to. So we're only asking because of whatever reason there's been some lethargic action on this to move forward, So we have representation. And it just seems that your unwillingness to move forward with this to protect the town in the litigation, that you have knowledge and maybe some participation in there as far as the certification and the filing, as well as the township attorney, as well as Mr. Perrone, and as well as Mr. Mills. So with all of that information, which is fact, you still aren't going to have them recuse, and you're not going to appoint another attorney to represent us involved.
I'm not going to be making any comments tonight. Thank you.
Pretty sure I heard him say no 15 times.
Yeah, I just want to make sure on every avenue that's there of your unwillingness. I appreciate that.
I'm not going to be making any comment.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
With that being said, I'm going to make a motion. My motion is pursuant to section 2-7.2, the Township of the Administrative Code, the Township Council hereby appoints the law firm of Damiano M. Fracasso, Esquire, to defend the acting clerk in the litigation entitled Schmidt versus Rockaway Township and Christina Clipperton, at an hourly rate of $250 an hour and not to exceed $17,500, with all necessary related procurement paperwork to be processed by the administration. Do I have a second?
Second.
270.
Council President, do you want to clarify the rate?
The rate is $250 per hour, not to exceed $17,500. No.
Did you say 250?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
If I could just have a moment of just silence with go through the motion, please. I have a second from Mrs. Abrahamsen. I made the motion. Can you please do the roll call?
We don't discuss this? I'm just asking.
Yeah, if you want to. I thought we covered.
I just want to make clear. So this is to get an attorney per our administrative code to protect an employee that's being sued.
That's correct. And this is not for a defense of the township, but yet the employee that's been stated in our administrative code 2-72, A and B as it states there. No, and I appreciate the clarity.
Council President, have you read that code?
I will read the code on the record, sure.
Please.
That's a good suggestion too, Mr. Palumbo. 2-2.2 Defensive Civil Actions, except as provided in subsection 2-7.3, the Township Council shall provide a public employee with the necessary defense or, at its options, means for the defense of any action brought against the public employee, including cross-claims and counterclaims, where the Township Council has determined that the public employee's act or omission complained of was within the scope of his or her employment, and B, said act or omission did not constitute a crime, actual fraud, actual malice, or willful misconduct.
Council President, having heard the wording there, I think perhaps you should amend the motion to include the language, any cross claims and counterclaims as well.
Yeah.
The defense, cross claims and counterclaims, defense of the acting clerk, and any related cross claims and counterclaims.
Okay, I'll amend that to have to defend
the acting clerk.
The acting clerk.
And any cross claims and counterclaims. Any cross claims and counterclaims arising therefrom.
I make a motion for the amended language. Or counterclaims arising therefrom.
litigation entitled. Ready for the amendment there? I'm sorry.
She'll have to listen. Yeah.
Yeah,
I have one question.
Council President.
Is there a not to exceed amount on this?
17.5, yes.
Council President, you might want to just withdraw your previous motion and just make a new motion with the amended wording.
I will. Do we have to make a vote on the withdrawal?
No, you just
I will withdraw the previous motion and provide a new motion that's here. My motion again, I'll make a motion from the floor. Pursuant to section 2-7.2, the Township Council hereby appoints the law firm of Damiano M. Fracasso, Esquire, to defend the acting clerk of
and
any cross-claims or counter-claims arising from the litigation entitled Schmidt versus Rockaway Township and Christina Clipperton. Docket number MRS-L-002535-18 at an hourly rate of $250 and to not exceed $1,500. $17,500 with all necessary related procurement paperwork to be processed by the administration.
Second.
Any discussion on it? Mrs. Seeger, is there anything that you need to be added in there so that the administration can move forward?
No comment right now. I have to think about it.
No comment. Mr. Puzio told her.
I know. I noticed Mr. Puzio told you not to say anything. You advise her?
Yeah.
Council President, I'll just remind you that we do have the ability under municipal charter law to vote to compel answers from the administration to questions that we have.
Do a roll call.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Abstain?
Councilmember Jedynak?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbo?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Sackett?
No.
Councilmember Jackson?
Yes.
Vice President Abrahamsen?
Yes.
President Kelley?
Yes. I have 6 yeses, 1 no, 1 abstention.
Correct.
Motion carries.
Yeah, motion carries. And the last thing,
Council President, we have a number of unanswered questions that were raised earlier in the meeting.
can we go on another route? Something else about.
Just want to make sure that that doesn't get missed.
I do understand that.
Thank you.
And that this time I make a motion to create an investigatory committee consisting of myself as chairman, Mrs. Abrahamsen, and Mr. Jedynak to investigate the allegations that were made from John Schmidt and also the litigations known as Schmidt and Hollenbach versus Rockaway Township. It's okay.
Motion to create an investigatory committee.
Myself, Patty, and Mr. Jedynak. I be the chairman. No.
Second.
I'm not done.
Oh.
And the litigation known as Schmidt versus Rockaway Township.
Hold on. To investigate. The allegations made?
Yes, allegations made by Mr. Schmidt. At the public meeting, January 22nd, 2019. As well as accusations made in the litigation known as Schmidt and Hollenbach versus Rockaway Township. Docket number C 131-18 and Schmidt versus Rockaway Township and Christina Clipperton. Docket number MRS L002535-18. Do I have a motion? I have a motion on the floor.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Friedlander?
No.
Councilmember Jedynak?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbo?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Sackett?
No.
Councilmember Jackson?
No.
Vice President Abrahamsen?
Yes.
President Kelley?
Yes. 5 yeses, 3 noes, motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
Who's on the committee?
Motion to adjourn.
We'll send you that resolution.
Motion, not a resolution.
Motion.
Who seconded it?
Who seconded the adjournment? Who's Jonathan? Second.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Jedynak? Jeremy?
Yes.
Councilmember Palumbo? Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Sackett?
Yes.
Councilmember Jackson?
Yes.
Vice President Abrahamsen?
Yes.
President Kelley?
Yes. Motion adjourned.
Meeting
Adjourned. Sorry.